speech title is Mercedes number 2. Please welcome Ken.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive Porsches, I must make amends. Worked hard all my life, no help from my friends. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Now, if you were here last week, you know who sang that song originally, Janis Joplin. And you might remember it was 1970. Even back in 1970, or more than 40 years ago, a Mercedes-Benz was the car to trade for. The car to say, someday I'll get me a Mercedes-Benz. Well, I couldn't wait. And with a little divine help, I'm sure, I put down the cash and bought me a Mercedes-Benz. And it comes with all kinds of great options, wonderful things, but it came with a very special option I didn't expect. Not a button, not a switch, not a mechanical thing, something I never expected. And it's something you might want in your life as an option too. But more about that later. It was about time for me to buy another car for sure. The car I had just before that I bought 10 years ago in 2003, brand new. It was a Acura RSX Type S. Now Acuras are luxury cars, more or less. It had nice leather seats, Bose sound system, but what made it special was it had a 200 horsepower VTEC engine, 6-speed manual, which meant I would zip all over town. I mean, it was great. And then rev it up. Great car for zipping around town. But there were two reasons it was time for me to buy a new car. The women in my social life and the men in my professional life. You're probably wondering, what is he talking about? The women in my social life. Just imagine this. Imagine I'm in the driver's seat, and next to me is a well-dressed woman looking forward to a really luxurious night out on town, maybe going to a good restaurant. And here I am going, and when I look over at her, I see it got so bad that one of those women, a doctor who was used to really fine, luxurious things, and herself had a Mercedes, said, "Ken, I am not driving with you ever again in this car." So being a smart kind of guy, I thought, maybe there's a problem with my car here and I should get another car. I wasn't convinced until recently I had to drive a couple of my men colleagues at work. Now, I say men because these men I work with tend to be big guys, really big guys. As I say, they're not environmentally sound like me. Like I'm a green man, you know, I don't take up much space. My carbon footprint is small. But imagine guys like Chris and John. I invite them out, we're gonna go for lunch, and they've got to get in the back seat of this 2-door coupe, push the seat forward, get around the seat belt, sit down like this in the back seat, and almost always say, "Ken, when are you gonna get a new car already?" So between the women in my social life and the men in my professional life, it was time. So I went and bought a certified pre-owned 2012 Mercedes. Now, certified pre-owned had two nice features to it. You're probably wondering what. One, of course, when it's certified pre-owned and it's a year older, the price is reduced. But more importantly, since I had been married before, I thought of myself as certified pre-owned. I said, there's a connection between me and the car. That car's for me, the two pre-owned guys, you know? So I bought this wonderful Mercedes. Now it is a black 4-door, not 2-door, 4-door sedan, automatic transmission. And it is beautiful. Great leather seats, heated leather seats. And recently, when I was out with my woman friend Selena, she was sitting in that warmed up leather seat, and she said, "Ken, this is nice." And I went, "Yeah, got the right car, all right?" And when I went out for lunch recently with a candidate who was visiting my place of work, filled up the car, and the guy said, "Nice car, kid." "Yeah, all right." And when I was driving around on a nice day, sort of like this, about 3 weeks ago, playing with all the buttons in the car, finding options I hadn't expected because it's one of those kinds of cars, that mysterious option I mentioned earlier kicked in. The one for which there's no button, no switch. It was an option where I just suddenly felt like the car had a vibration. And I heard, "Ken, what took you so long to buy such a nice car? You're enjoying it today, aren't you? How many more days do you think you have to enjoy nice things like this?" What is this? I wanted, what is this, a philosophical car or something? And then the killer, it said, "Ken, you better enjoy it now. You don't know how many more days you have left. You're going to die one day." What? What kind of car is this? Who asked for this thing? It turned out it's the mortality option. And I was ready for it. By buying that car, I turned my someday I'm going to get a Mercedes-Benz into today. And it turned on the option of there are no more some days, it's today. And I began to think, yeah, someday I'm going to take a trip somewhere special. No, that time is now. Someday I'm going to go to a special restaurant. No, that day is now. Someday I'll write a book. No, today. Someday I'll have that special relationship. No, it's now. The mortality option said, today's the day. So I ask you, are you saying someday you're going to do something special? Someday you're going to go somewhere? Someday you're going to write something, sing something, create something? Well, maybe you ought to consider the mortality option and say, that someday is today. And if you do consider it today, you'll get it done. But if instead you don't exercise the mortality option in your life, you'll find yourself singing, "Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz?" Thank you.